the Nutcracker. It can be pretty nutty. Hey, friends, your old pal Barkey J Dog here. Now, every year I round up a bunch of versions of the Nutcracker for you, and I've gone into the history of it and the meaning of the story and all of that. So be sure to look up those other videos and check them out. There sure are some Lulus out there. And I have even more for you next year. Yeah. Basically, the Nutcracker is kind of like a Christmas Carol in that in each version, the story gets condensed, events get rearranged, characters are combined, consolidated, or eliminated. Things get added or cut. You know, just all of that kind of stuff they do with a Christmas Carol. Well, this year, I have some interesting ones, so let's get into it. First up, we have the Nutcracker Ballet from 1995. This one was recorded at the Slovak National Theater. I got this one on a Laserlight brand DVD, so you know it's a print of something they got on the cheap. But you can find it cheap too, so there you go. The show opens not on the stage, but in the foyer of the opera house. That was different. Basically, we just see the performers in costume trotting around the foyer as they head inside. And we also see them applying makeup between acts and checking their costumes and everything. So again, that was different. This is kind of a hybrid in that while it's a ballet performance, there's no audience in the opera house, and the camera is sometimes right on the stage with the performers. I thought the first half was pretty good. I mean, it is what it is, right? It's the second half where the show kind of falls down. In this version, Clara and the Nutcracker transform into adults, one of several things that can happen to the characters depending on the version you watch. The transition is really clever. The kids duck under Drosselmeyer's cape while the adults step out from around it at the same time. That looked pretty cool. But I gotta say, everything in Candyland, well, I call it Candyland, it's really the land of the sweets, is a letdown. The set is so empty, so bland, and the supporting dancers weren't that good. I mean, sure, they can dance, they're qualified to be on the stage there, but they didn't quite have the poise or the confidence. They wobble a bit sometimes, too. Well, I've definitely seen worse, but I've also seen better. And hey, how about this version from the era of live TV? This is a version of the Nutcracker performed for an episode of Playhouse 90, so named because the program ran 90 minutes. This one hails from 1958, and while the program is in color, all of the commercials and bumper cards are in black and white. June Lockhart hosts and narrates, but I kind of felt bad for her in that she didn't seem quite prepared for the hosting duties. She doesn't really seem to know the material and is obviously reading off of cue cards or text in a book here. Knowing how good Lockhart normally was, I suspect she got pressed into service at the last minute or something, and maybe she was more used to a proper TV show or a movie where it isn't live or a simulation of being live. Anyway, this one was kind of mid, if I'm honest. You can see the show struggling with the limitations of the dimensions of the stage they had to work in. And sometimes you spy a stagehand peeping out from around the edge of a set piece. The color's kind of washed out, too. The performance? Well, it's fair. This was a New York ballet company. Yeah, but nothing to write home about here, frankly. Perhaps we're too sophisticated, too jaded to appreciate this telecast today, but this one is interesting as an artifact of early color TV and the Playhouse 90 project. Well, how about something newer? We have The Nutcracker from 2009, performed by the Salzburg Marionette Theater. That's right, puppets! This one is brilliant in its way, And despite not being on a par with Jerry Anderson's work, these marionettes are still pretty cool. They don't follow the story too closely, though. That's where it falls down. Still really neat to watch it as a puppet show. Well, I don't know. Is there anything to this puppet thing? I'm not so sure. I don't know. And while we're on the subject of puppets, why not take a look at The Nutcracker, an abridged version from 2018 that uses puppets. This one is only half an hour. It also doesn't follow the story too well, but it's still pretty cool. Here, a professor guy tells the story and condenses the thing down to its bare bones. Still, it's fun to see the story done with Muppet-style puppets, though. I think the jury's still out on those, but anyway, next we have this thing. The Nutcracker Suite starring Angelina Ballerina. Now, I never watched any Angelina Ballerina before. I mean, it's a kid's show, I guess, but I had high hopes, and they were all dashed. Now, Angelina is this pink rat who studies ballet at her school, a school that teaches dance and the arts. So right away, you know this isn't set in America. No, this is British. Well, anyway, the Nutcracker is Angelina's favorite ballet, and there's a big professional version of it that will soon be put on. Angelina's rat parents buy tickets with front row seats, and they bought an extra ticket so Angelina can invite one of her rat friends along. But Angelina is pretty dumb, and she stupidly invites not one friend, but two. And there's a third friend who also wants to go. Well, now Angelina is in a real pickle. How can she get herself out of the crisis that she herself got herself into? Well, I don't know. Now, this thing is in 50-minute episodes, so thank God for that. I didn't have to sit through them for too long. The next episode lit is a new story that has Angelina dancing some of the sugar plum dance. Her teacher is all like, "Wow, all these years of teaching these rat kids, and I found the one prodigy a teacher only sees once in a lifetime." Well, she's in for some disappointment. See, they're putting on a show, and Angelina's gonna dance this sugar plum piece, right? But she stupidly stuffs her face with candy and cookies. So while before, at practice, she was light on her feet and danced like a swan, now she feels sick and clawed hops around the stage like a walrus in concrete galoshes. Another lesson learned, I guess. The other 3 installments on this DVD have nothing to do with the Nutcracker or Christmas. Color me disappointed. No, I paid money for this. Well, I can't leave you with that crap. What else do we have? Well, I've seen a lot of Nutcrackers, and I have for you what is quite possibly the best iteration of the Nutcracker that I have ever seen. That's right. It's this one from 2018. You will not believe this one. It is simply spectacular. When the tree transforms, it's just the best thing ever. They raise set pieces up into the rafters, move pieces out into the wings. And they have this hydraulic platform that lowers down into the stage, and the tree grows bigger and bigger. It's just spectacular. And Drosselmeyer, I loved this guy. They play with this idea that he's some kind of wizard, and we see him doing a bit of stage magic. The look on his face is so joyous, so expressive. And when he's orchestrating events throughout the ballet, he gestures mysteriously as if casting spells, and his movements are so fluid. And that cape, man, it billows like a superhero cape. I love that cape. I loved him. He's got to be my favorite Drosselmeyer. Now, Amazon says this is from 2009, but the copyright at the end says 2018. So which is it? Yeah, it's 2018. Now, there is a problem in theater and ballet. Namely, there are some of the most amazing roles in Shakespeare and in ballets like Swan Lake and everything. Roles that have made careers for the people playing them. But because they were written in Europe way in the past, they were all written pretty much for white people. But if you're not a white person, but you have boatloads of talent, why shouldn't you get to play one of these preeminent roles? And it's a fair point. On the other hand, a ballet like the Nutcracker, while most of it takes place in a dream world, it's set in a time and place we know historically, around 1810 in a big city like Nuremberg in Germany. And that's why the casting of this guy would not normally work, because in that time and place, he would probably not be there, let alone be Drosselmeyer's nephew. How? Nor would he be thinking romantic thoughts about this chick or vice versa. However, this guy is not what you might call merely a diversity hire. This guy can dance. He knows how to trot around the stage. And as such, he has what it takes to play Captain Codpiece here. Unlike a lot of the junk coming out of Hollywood we've had to endure, this guy has the talent, and that goes a long, long way towards making his casting work. I found that it didn't break the immersion, but it did leave a hairline crack in it. Still, he's good, and the production is so amazing that in the end it didn't matter. And so this is the version that I'm recommending you see this year. But let's say this casting thing is still a bridge too far for you. Fair enough. Fortunately, I found I had this. This here DVD is another version of the very same production, only from the 1990s, before social media made everyone into an oppressed victim. They used the same choreography, the same sets, the same props, pretty much the same costumes, and it all takes place on the same stage at the same venue. The only significant difference is the cast, the conductor, and a few lighting choices. Now, I do think the 2018 version is better in that the picture is pin sharp, so you can better appreciate the special effects, while the DVD's picture is a little soft. And I thought the director of the 2018 video recording made some better shot choices. And the Drosselmeyer, man, that guy is fantastic. The older one has a good Drosselmeyer, but the 2018 one is just tops. The DVD has an interview with that earlier Drosselmeyer, and best of all, a behind-the-scenes sequence showing the transformation of the tree and how they did it. But the 2018, man, it's just the best I've ever seen. And you can get it on Amazon Prime, and trust me, it's worth it. Heck, get both! Well, that's it for a Barkey Dog Christmas this year. I hope your Christmas is happy and not crappy. You take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. And you have a very Merry Christmas.